Tonight's show, Trump is making history. Not only is he partnering with Johnson to work through Congress and the RNC and Republicans to actively sue almost every state to remove non-citizen voters from their rolls before the election. This has never been done. I've got the evidence to show you. Arizona is probably one of the biggest ones, but they just sued the state again. They have a court date for October 28th to remove 218 registered voters that never provided proof of citizenship. On top of this, Trump is gaining big time with another increase to almost 23% lead in the betting markets to win the presidency against Harris. And what do I always say? Follow the money. Elon Musk right now is also doing a 3-day event in Pennsylvania to help Trump win, and now has revealed that they're using the Dominion voting machines, that there's some suspicious activity, that these voting machines are used in the counties that are most vital to winning the election, yet they're not being used anywhere else. Also, these machines and software have been hacked previously. We've never seen such opposition from the Department of Justice to clean up voter rolls. Over the past 3.5 years, they've been ushering people in. The states are trying to clean them up before the election, and it is a fight to do this. So much more details and so much more crazy things are happening. But I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. And thank you to everybody that is a member of the True Life News family. We appreciate you so much. Remember, the link is in the description to join. And thank you to everybody that blesses the hurricane victims with the Super Chat donation. We're making that donation next Tuesday live on the channel so that you can see that True Life is giving back. We love you all, appreciate you all, but let's jump right into this. We got so much details to show you. Check it out.
Number of people watched last night, Jesse, over 7 million, and that was just on the television.
You know what she's really good at?
What?
Not taking any responsibility. She's actually excellent at that. If you wanted to watch someone for 25 minutes not take any responsibility, last night was amazing. She is a typical lawyer who enjoys arguing but doesn't have a point. She said nothing bad happened over the last 4 years, but nothing good happened either. She never mentioned one accomplishment over the last 4 years, not chips, not inflation reduction, nothing. And if you're Biden, you're watching this interview, you're like, okay, thank you. This was really bad. She did not look presidential to me. I remember even in contentious interviews where like O'Reilly would interview Barack Obama and he was pointing in his face. And Obama had this charming way where he'd be like, Bill, calm down. Like, that's not how things work. And creates this sort of connection with the interviewer. And she doesn't have the ability to do that. She's ice cold. She's unlikable. And her arguments are incoherent. At one point, she said, Donald Trump has to take responsibility for everything that happens in his administration. She goes, but I don't have to take any responsibility for what happens in the Biden-Harris administration.
Exactly.
She says, the border has always been broken, but it was secure when I was there, except during an election year when Trump broke it. You cannot follow it. It's all illogical. She said she never noticed anything bad about Joe Biden. She's the nominee because Biden was bad. If you look at the Democrat reaction to this, they don't seem that happy. But I wanted to bring something for Jessica.
A gift for me?
Trump has now taken the lead in every single battleground state and is now ahead in the betting markets bigger than he ever has been.
Let's go.
Far.
When I watched her right in the beginning, she started pointing at Brett. She pointed at him throughout most of the interview. I found that very offensive. I thought that Brett did an excellent job of trying to get her to answer the questions. I think she was contentious. I think she made it clear that she has a short fuse. And I think that she filibustered. She was non-responsive. She was combative. And she was grandstanding. I think that even more important is the fact that her job yesterday in coming on Fox was to try to convince people to want to vote for her. There was nothing that she said that would make anyone want to vote for her, because everything was about not what she's done, but how terrible Donald Trump is. And those people have already decided that, with all due respect, they're not the undecideds. Okay, and she wasted an opportunity to convince people of that. And I have two specific points. When she was asked about the transgender, the law that required the government to pay for transgender surgeries, she was spineless. She was weak. We all know what she meant when she said, "I'm going to follow the law." And she said, well, it was the law when Trump was there. Well, first of all, it's not a law. It's a regulation. Second of all, none of those surgeries occurred during the Trump administration. You know why, Kamala? Because he fought them. And he fought the regulation.
But people got hormone therapy.
The first transgender surgery was during Kamala and Joe Biden's administration. Now, take responsibility, stand up for what you believe, and stop being weak. Second point, to say that Donald Trump is not fit is laughable when this is a woman who told the American people that Joe Biden was competent, she was the last person in the room, and that it was his ineptitude that led to her being the candidate for president of the United States. I mean, she has no credibility as far as I'm concerned. And I thought that she was very weak, and I thought that Brett did everything he could to restrain himself from a woman who wasn't interested in conversing.
One of the ways to ask...
Let me tell you this. Y'all think that, I mean, there's things happening behind the scenes I'm about to show y'all, but I want to show you real quick. Check out, this is the latest Poly Market polls. Trump is up to almost 62%, y'all, against Kamala Harris's 38%. We follow the money, which I'm telling you, that's where it tells that, guess what? If you look at the past elections, following the money, it always tells you the truth. He's kicking Harris's butt. On top of that, they just sued. So this is big right here, because I'm telling you, they're doing things behind the scenes, and people are showing it right here. That the Arizona Secretary of State for illegally, they've been sued withholding a list of 218,000 registered voters who never provided proof of citizenship. It's literally the law. In Arizona, show proof of citizenship in order to register to vote. They're trying to skate by 218,000, but now they've got a court date, October 28th. Hopefully, they can get those in and have them cleaned out, because if not, this is one way that they try to get through and get these non-citizens to vote. And then when they say, oh, but it's not actually happening, nobody's going in to check. They looked at the 2020 polls, and guess what? The results in 2020, they found tens of thousands of non-citizens that voted, but it's too late. So they're trying to fix it now. This is why Trump is working really hard, making history of suing. No state has ever been sued more than the RNC and Trump to try to get non-citizens off the voter rolls. And on top of that, there's more stuff that's coming out in this whole Harris debacle. Check this out.
Basically a campaign surrogate posing as a fake news journalist. There's the meme, by the way.
This is
come on,
funny,
guys.
y'all.
Tell me this isn't the best meme you've seen in a long time. Here's Martha Raddatz on, what's that? Is that Millionaire Show? Whatever it is. The acceptable number of apartment complexes taken over by illegal alien alien gangs is a handful, a bushel, 3 or 0. Then you got JD with the look, giving her a little JD Vance side eye. You should patent that. There it is. There it is, Martha. We were told the Venezuelan gang problem is no big deal. Don't sweat it. Well, isn't that, come on, that's the best side eye you've ever seen for a guy. That's hot. I mean, you're not going to find better side eye than that. Folks, but look at this. Come on. I can't even do that. I can't pull that. I don't even know how he does that. What is that muscle in the eye? The lateral rectus or something? Like, his is really strong. I don't know. Maybe it's his time in the Marine Corps scanning targets and stuff. This guy is on it, man. Like freaking white on rice. Watch this. Here's an NYPD guy on Fox News or whatever, some morning show, talking about the Venezuelan gang. What is it, CBS or something?
Y'all think it's a coincidence that it's Venezuela? You don't think it's a coincidence? The gangs, the cartels controlling people, taking over apartments. Now they're taking over hotels. You may not have heard this on the news yet, but check this out.
Oh, it is Fox. Okay, local Fox talking about the Venezuelan gang problem. Not in Aurora, that's bad enough, but in New York. Check this out.
What started out as a robbery crew, upwards of 50 robberies, 20 individuals arrested for upwards of 50 robberies and out of those 20 individuals, every single one of them is on the streets today. So
that's crazy. Now, there are reports that they're operating the Roosevelt Hotel, which used to be a very nice hotel in New York City. Now it's a migrant shelter. What are we talking about? What's going on inside this hotel?
The Roosevelt Hotel in New York City is now a migrant shelter. You can't make this crap up. This is the stuff that you don't see normally.
Hotel that is now spilling out into the Times Square area.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually a recruitment process. And
folks, what else? What guys in the chat, what are we talking about? Just so you remember, I want to keep everybody grounded. I like this show to be informative. You know, humor's great, but that's not my goal here. I'm not a comedian. I'm not Sebastian Maniscalco. Everything they tell you, did we not make our point? We told you the FBI numbers were fake. Oh, look, the FBI admits the numbers were fake. What else could you possibly want to hear?
100%.
The Venezuelan gang problem. Martha Raddatz, J.D. Vance, let's be real. This is not a big problem. It's only a handful. Not only is a handful a big freaking deal, now you got a guy from the NYPD like, man, they're just taking over hotels now, too. I'm going up to New York tomorrow. You know what I told my wife? I'm only doing it because, I got this business ban on New York. I don't want to do any business up there. I have to do the Trump interview. I had to make an executive decision. I told her, guys, did I not? Get me the hell out of New York as soon as possible. I'm going to Charlotte after that. Going to a concert, you could figure it out. She's like, do you want to stay? I said, no, I do not want to stay in New York. I do not. I'm from there. I know New York well. Get me out. Get me out. They're taking over hotels now. I thought it wasn't a problem.
Crazy.
Here, you want to watch a segment? You know what, can we do this in reverse? Put the CNN article up first. Remember the Ferguson effect? After the riots in Ferguson, the Ferguson effect is real. I talked about it many times. After the anti-police riots, the Ferguson effect, the gist of it is a lot of cops backed off. I had tons of cops telling me in New York, hey, listen, keep that up. It was so real, as a matter of fact, in 2015, CNN wrote a whole article about it. FBI chief tries to deal with the Ferguson effect, that cops were holding back. I already told you the story that after the Ferguson anti-police riots, right? What wound up happening was cops felt like they weren't being supported for doing their jobs. I had probably 15, 20 cops from around the country reach out to me, supervisors telling me that their cops, people were waving them down for stuff, and the cops, I'm not saying I agree with it or not, folks. I'm just telling you that a lot of cops just kept going. Their whole idea was we can't stop, because if we stop, these people are just going to blame us for whatever happens. So crime went crazy. The Ferguson effect is so real. Again, CNN wrote a whole story on it. How the FBI was freaking out because the defund the police and all this other crap after the unrest in Ferguson screwed up all the policing. It's real. I'm not saying I agree with any of it. I'm just saying the Ferguson effect was real. Why am I bringing this up now? Because everything they tell you is... Here's Ryan Gadursky on CNN, brings up the Ferguson effect, and the hosts, these are hosts, folks. Their job is to... That's their job. The hosts on CNN are like, Ferguson effect? What the hell's that? We never heard of that before. It's your freaking job to know what it is. Watch yourself.
Just yesterday, Ryan, about how, in the context of riots, he was saying, let's just bring the military into it to deal with American citizens. I mean, that happened yesterday.
Right, but the post-George Floyd riots resulted in an excess of over 15,000 black male deaths in this country.
Wow.
How?
Yeah.
The surge of violent crime, it was like Ferguson, the Ferguson effect and the Floyd effect.
Respectfully, you got to explain to me how George Floyd's death.
Yeah.
Because I need causation here.
Yes,
you really are
because what
messing me
happens
up
is
here.
after the Ferguson riot and after the Floyd riot, policemen, in fear of their jobs many times and political coverage, pull back from their jobs, resulting in an increased level of
listen, I
homicide.
got to stop you there because hold on.
You can look at the Washington Post
Ryan, we got to
numbers on
stop you
this.
there because you're literally making a connection out of your own conjecture.
No,
You cannot.
it's a
just
real
do
thing.
that.
Look up the Ferguson effect. Look up the Floyd effect. It is a real term.
You cannot
It's
just,
a real term. I didn't make this up.
Invent a connection between two things.
I'm telling you what, CNN has turned into a pure opinionated just media network. Doesn't know the facts, can't state the facts. Everything that they say is all opinion. And then when the guy brings up a legitimate thing that people have talked about and they've shown it and proven it statistically with cops and whatnot, and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, this just blows my mind that there's millions of people that watch CNN that just take them for Bible.
Holy Moses. Put it up again, fellas. FBI chief tries to deal with the Ferguson effect. By who? CNN. Oh, brothers and sisters, how does it feel to always be on the right side? Are we ever wrong? Folks in the chat, Bacino on the case, are we ever wrong? Can you tell me, honestly, guys, think about it. Everyone, let's crowdsource here. Has there been a single political narrative of consequence? I'm not talking about like wrong about, hey, what color's that cat? It's orange. No, it's chartreuse. I'm not talking about.
And this is another thing that I want to show you real quick too. Whenever it comes to the elections, when it comes to the illegals, the non-citizen voters, remember, Axios has already reported that top Democratic leaders over certain states have said that they would not certify the election. And now this video is recirculating again, big time. Listen, they're already planning that if Trump wins, they will not certify him as president. Check this out.
So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in civil war conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring that back to life, even as we're continuing to amend the Constitution, as Professor Hassan has invited us to do.
Y'all see that? Where he's already saying, look, it's going to be our job to tell all the MAGA people and all the mobs on January 6, 2025 that their president is disqualified. Like this is circulating a lot. They're trying to basically discredit Trump before, but I feel like, I'm telling you, something's going to happen between now, the election, and January 6th, because we're finding more and more of these things are just coming up dry when it comes to the voter integrity, when it comes to the software. I mean, and it's just continuously more and more and more. And then on top of this, the Democrats, they're pretty much done with Kamala Harris. Check this out.
Yesterday at the funeral of Ethel Kennedy, Bobby's widow, Biden, Obama, Clinton, and Pelosi all sat alongside each other for the first time since the coup. The bad blood between these four lingering in the church like incense. And then things just got awkward.
I will tell you this. I thought your motive was the cat's meow. She would flirt with me in the most innocent ways.
Does this guy really need to be talking about flirting?
Hey, anyone else?
Days later, I received another letter from her. I'll always remember. I know all of you look forward to each year. A Valentine card. There's a picture of me and Ethel surrounded by hearts. Oh, you think I'm kidding? It meant a lot to me, I'm telling you. Printed the language on the card, it said, in the printed language of the card, it said, I'm not biding my time waiting for you, Valentine. And then in her handwriting, she says, because he's no ordinary Joe.
Okay. But in the pews, the tension was as powerful as the organ pipes. Barack and Biden were caught in the middle of a deep conversation. Now, primetime isn't in the lip reading business, but one professional lip reader tells the Post that Biden told Barack, "She's not as strong as me." Barack, nodding his head, seems to agree. According to this lip reader, Obama tells him that's true. The relationship between these two presidents is strained. Biden's off the ticket, and some are second-guessing the switcheroo. Trump says Obama's feeling like this.
I think he's angry. He pretends not to be, but I think he's an angry guy. He's a nasty guy. He's got a little bit of an edge, and he's angry about a lot of things. You look at what happened with Biden, and you look at what he did with Biden. He really hurt Biden. If you think about it, they stole the election from a sitting president. That's, I always say coup, but the word
That's
coup,
so
I don't
true.
think it's accurate enough. They just walked in and took it away from him. That is a legendary thing. He didn't want to give up. He's angry now. They're all angry, the Democrats, if you think. She's angry. They're both angry.
For both men, this is personal. Kamala's faltering candidacy threatens the end of the Obama-Biden era. That's how Conrad Black puts it. They put their legacies on the line for Harris, and now they're all pointing fingers at each other. Biden's telling Barack, "I told you so." Pelosi and Biden still aren't even speaking to each other. And she says she never wanted Harris in the first place. She wanted Josh Shapiro as the nominee. That's according to journalist Mark Halperin.
Wow.
And the Clintons say, we had to have a coronation. There's no way Kamala could survive a competition.
No.
Some of the, the wishful thinking and the speculating about let's have some sort of, primary made absolutely no sense. That we didn't have the time and it would not be in any way effective.
Do you hear her say we didn't have the time? I'm telling you, these Obama, Michelle, Hillary, Bill, these big, essentially modern day oligarchs control the Democratic Party. They control the agenda. They control what goes on. They control how it runs. And you hear them blatantly saying it. And a lot of the people on the Democratic side said, oh, you think that we're living in a constitutional republic? You think people get the right to vote? No, they tell you who's going to be your president. They tell you who's going to be the one in charge.
And it would not help us win.
The old dogs realize they have the party's blood on their hands. Less than 3 weeks to go, they're trying to cut their losses. Barack's lecturing the brothers, and out on the campaign trail, Bubba's teamed up with Tampon Tim. I wonder what they talk about on the bus. Democrats are nudging Harris to do more. So now she's screaming.
Must never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States.
Chameleon.
Never again. Never again.
But it might be too late. For the first time ever, the polling averages have Trump up in every swing state. Look at that. Kamala's fading fast in the betting markets. And in early voting, it's looking strong for Republicans. Check out the turnout in Arizona.
Should note, we did not find a single person who audibly would tell us that they voted for Kamala Harris. These were Trump supporters getting out to vote early in the all.
Hey, do y'all remember whenever if you go, you couldn't find anybody that said they'd vote for Trump because they were basically scared that if they did, then they looked bad? Now it's literally flipped where people don't want to say they're voting for Kamala because she's so bad.
Report in Mojave County. Take a listen to some of our conversations.
Well, the difference is going to be that everybody's coming out early.
Why did you vote early this year?
Honestly, because Donald Trump told me to.
What a good answer.
We went one man who did not vote in 2020, but he said he was horrified by the state of the country, so he is voting here in 2024.
The Harris campaign's running into reality. That's how Walter Samuel puts it. Harris finds herself burdened by Biden's legacy and with a pointless running mate in October. At the very moment, she's triangulated her credibility into the dustbin. Half the Harris ticket's in a sling. Walz is useless. And she's out there basically saying the last 4 years was a failure and never touts any of their so-called accomplishments.
Never.
The only thing she talks about is this.
And Donald Trump's
voted against
Donald Trump's administration, Donald Trump's administration, Donald Trump, from Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump
After George
is
talking to President Biden at a fundraiser on the debate stage.
Donald Trump. Let's go back to Donald Trump during Donald Trump and Donald Trump. How Donald Trump.
Usually when a person acts like that, you get a restraining order. And she won't take any responsibility for anything. She had the chance yesterday with Brett to say what she'd do differently, and she flunked.
Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years, so what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other.
I just noticed, everybody. Oh my goodness, I just noticed. Look at her earrings. The Bluetooth earrings, everybody. There it is. Why? These people do not wear the same crap ever. They're always wearing something new. There's always touting something new because that's just who they are. And yet, this is the third time she's worn these same earrings, the Bluetooth earrings. Let me know your thoughts. I can't believe I just caught that.
Divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is
tell
about turning the
pollsters-
page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
The reason Kamala is the nominee is because Biden was a failure.
Yes.
Why can't Kamala just say, I learned from the mistakes he made. Catch and release was a bad idea. Printing a gazillion dollars, I wouldn't do that again. Instead, she just squirms and argues like a lawyer without a point. Grow up, accept the past, and move forward. Instead, she just lies to us. Harris has tried to rewrite history, and in an implausible way to boot. But the idea that Kamala Harris is some sort of Glock-carrying conservative who idealized John McCain and admires the statesmanship of Dick Cheney is laughable. It is insulting to those involved. She's alienating the left and playing the rest of us for fools. Harris appears to be in the process of defeating herself. Nancy and Barack have unleashed a wrecking ball. Biden, at least, was still kind of holding the coalition together.
Yeah.
Kamala's poisoning it. She's lost unions, black men, Hispanics. You don't easily put back political coalitions once they've been shattered. She isn't just losing voters, they're being scooped up by the opposing party. These coalitions take decades to build. If Kamala loses, this coup will have done long-lasting damage to the Democratic Party. It's destroyed their coalition and their credibility at the same time. And it's burning through billions of dollars. Writer Tom Klingenstein puts it this way. The Democratic Party is the destructive party, and Kamala is the destructive leader. This election is between one candidate who wants to destroy our country and the other who wants to save it. Look how much damage Biden-Harris did in just 4 years. She's already promised she wouldn't change a thing. This country would not survive.
Yes, I'm telling you, there's a lot of things happening right now. Right now, Elon Musk is in Pennsylvania. He's trying to get the voters out there. A lot of people are concerned about voter integrity, but listen to what he has to say, because I'm telling you this, there's something here, and as Elon knows something. That's why he's there. Check this out.
To be really, really active in promoting, Trump campaign 4 years ago, and I got burned out, and I'm so frustrated, and it's all because of the cheating. So, what are we going to do with that?
Well, there is, I think, some amount of cheating that takes place. It's hard because they've, when you have mail-in ballots and no sort of proof of citizenship, it becomes almost impossible to prove cheating is the issue.
Exactly.
So a lot of people on the Dem side will say there's no cheating, and I'm like, you've made it impossible to actually prove that there's cheating. But statistically, there are some very strange things that happen that are statistically incredibly unlikely.
Y'all hear that? That there's things that are happening that they're seeing that are literally statistically unlikely.
So, there's always this sort of question of, like, say, the Dominion voting machines. It is weird that I think they're used in Philadelphia and in Maricopa County, but not in a lot of other places. Doesn't that seem like a heck of a coincidence?
You hear that?
So I think we should, in my view, we should only do paper ballots hand counted. That's it.
100%.
I'm a technologist. I know a lot about computers, and I'm like, the last thing I would do is trust a computer program. Because it's just too easy to hack. It's too easy to add just one line.
One line.
And it's really difficult to hack paper ballots. So, in-person voting with proof of, with ID, which, by the way, every country has. I mean, like almost every country that has democratic elections requires in-person voting with voter ID. It's super weird to not have that. I think that's the only way to effectively address fraud. Given that we are today, I think we just need a very big margin of victory.
Too big to rig, y'all. I'm telling you, a lot of this stuff isn't like, think about it. Trump's winning larger than ever. The newest polling shows that this is across all of them now. Like, it's pretty much all settling that Trump wins 312 electoral votes to Kamala Harris's 226. And with this, when you think about it, I think a lot of people knew that this was going to happen. Think about the assassination attempts. Kenny, I see your message. I'm with you on there. This guy, Trump is doing so well. People cannot stand him so much that they felt like, okay, we lost out with Biden. We're going to continue losing out if we don't do something. And we have to make sure that we have enough votes. So this just came out right here. And a lot of people don't know this because I'm telling you, it's by design. Check this out.
To an internal Border Patrol memo, this was obtained exclusively by NBC News, roughly 30% of the cameras in Border Patrol system are broken. That's right,
30% of the cameras used to monitor the border are broken. So they have no idea how many people are coming in. Do you think this is why? You're telling me we can send billions of dollars over to these other dang countries. We have billions of dollars to spend on the Inflation Reduction Act. We have billions of dollars to do all kinds of crap, but we can't fix our cameras. And look how many there are.
50 of 500 don't actually work.
So right there, 115 cameras out of 500 that we use to make sure our border's secure are broken, and we don't have enough money to go in and fix those. It's by design, everybody. They wanted them to be broken. They've stayed broken for years. It's all by design for them to get illegals into the country, non-citizens, to register them to vote. And what you're about to see in a minute, it's going to blow your mind. Like the sheriff, one of the sheriffs from Florida is going to show you in detail what is actually happening, what the people are being told as they come over, how they're being registered to vote. It's all by design. And I'm telling you, if we don't get good leaders in place, we're going to lose our country. We need good leaders just like this guy right here. Check it out.
DeSantis joins me now. So, Governor, you saw that interview she did with Brett, and it doesn't look like the Democrats are that thrilled with it. What do you think happened there?
Well, her whole candidacy, they airdrop her in to replace Biden. So she's got a very limited runway. And I think the bet they made was that a combination of legacy media propping her up and then having gazillion dollars to be able to run ads would be able to mask her deficiencies. At the end of the day, this is a vapid leftist San Francisco Democrat. She is not able to sit there and answer questions, and she has a record that is more liberal than anybody else in national politics. And so I think the whole issue of the election is, were enough Americans going to see the real Kamala through the veil of the legacy media and all the different ads? And I think that interview last night, that's another example of piercing that veil, where people be able to say, hey, this is the real Kamala, and that's not somebody that should be president. I mean, just think about it. You alluded to it in your opening. She has this slogan that she wants a new beginning. She wants to turn the page. Yet she cannot name one thing that she disagrees with over the last 3.5 years. Then she has this other shtick where she talks about how she is going to save democracy and Donald Trump's a threat to democracy and our institutions. And yet, this is the person that wants to eliminate the filibuster in the Senate so they can pack the Supreme Court and eliminate the Electoral College. She's never been somebody that's cherished American institutions. So I think her whole candidacy is a fraud. I think the interview yesterday showed that. And I think more and more people have just caught on over these last few months.
You're right about the inability to answer that one basic question. The whole reason she's running is because she's not Joe Biden. Joe Biden was so bad, he wasn't allowed to run. And the only thing she can say is a difference is her gender and where she's lived recently. And in a way, that's what the Democratic Party is. It's all about identity. It's not about a new idea. They don't have any new ideas. Do you believe the Republican Party is going to be able to take advantage of this?
Oh, I hope so. I mean, I just think about her as a candidate, and you alluded to this as well. What is so wrong with her to just acknowledge that the Biden border policies have failed?
Right.
Why can't she just say that? Why can't she just say, you know what, I was involved in that, but I would do it differently now. I will do it different. Why can't she acknowledge that the Afghanistan withdrawal was a debacle and that she would do it differently? I mean, there are certain things this administration's done. Even if you're more liberal, you have to admit they've been failures. And yet she won't even acknowledge that. So I think that that's very alarming about the type of leader she would be if she can't acknowledge past mistakes. And so I think we're, as Republicans, now in a situation where people are looking at that. They don't like the direction of the country. They don't have confidence in her as a leader. And, the one thing about Donald Trump is he was president. And so people can look back and say, okay, how did Trump do on the border? Well, he obviously did much better than Biden-Harris on the border. How did Trump do on national security? He obviously did much better than Biden-Harris on national security. So they have that frame of reference. And I think ultimately that will benefit Republicans.
You're not even allowed to criticize Democrats if you're a Democrat. The only thing that keeps their status up is the fact that no one says anything mean about them. The one time you say anything negative, all hell breaks loose. And that's kind of what's starting to happen right now with her. Real quick, the cleanup situation in Florida, how's it going?
Well, we had 2 major hurricanes in the span of 2 weeks. We had to prepare and respond to Helene. We did 2.4 million power restorations in record time.
Wow.
Then with Milton, there was 4.2 million power knocked out, and that's been resolved. I think it's 99.9% with that. We did great search and rescue, local, state, working together. And here's the way I would put it. If you don't hear about it in national media, then obviously the response must have been good, because if we even stubbed our toe, they would be all over us. But we take a lot of pride in it. We prep. We get the job done. But I think the difference, us and some other states, we lead. We do not rely on the feds. We're happy to use federal support when it's available, but we drive the train, and I think that's why we're able to get the job done.
You're right. You've done an excellent job down there, because we're not hearing a damn thing.
Let's go. And I'll tell you this. What I'm about to show y'all, this is from Florida. They're probably one of the most proactive when it comes to the illegal immigration, when it comes to making sure that they're showing what the heck is actually going on. I hope you're sitting down, because when you watch this, it's just going to show you how badly we need Trump. And this is also going viral all over X.
First, I want you to see this chart. 25 illegal immigrants were arrested in this operation. They were from Venezuela, Cuba, Colombia, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico. 16% of these total arrests were people who should not even have been in this country.
These people were running a human trafficking of 156 people.
But they were here. And they were here because we have a federal government that enabled these criminals to come into the country and then treated them very well after the criminals came here illegally. So let me share a story with you, and then I'm going to read a quote for you and then let you see a video. The prostitutes that came here, several of them had to pay off a coyote debt. Some of them said, hey, we did it because it was easy money. Others said, well, we came here and we were illegal, we couldn't get employment, so we turned to prostitution. Some of them said, we were threatened and our family was threatened if we did not prostitute for the coyotes or for the human traffickers. So I'm going to tell you one story about one of our suspects, Maria, and that's not her real name. She's from Venezuela. She made a conscious decision to come to this country to commit crime. She flew into Mexico from Venezuela. She walked across from Juarez, Mexico, into El Paso, Texas, with her one-year-old child, where she was greeted by the Border Patrol. Did you hear what I said? She was greeted by the Border Patrol. There was no sneaking. She flew in, she got here, she simply walked across the open border. There is no border security at the southern
whatsoever.
border. Zero. It doesn't exist. So when she was greeted, and you'll understand why we use that term in a minute, you'll understand that she went to the Border Patrol processing, where in one day she completed the processing and was released to a facility, a holding facility, a housing facility for immigrants. She said, I was given a DNA test to make sure that my DNA matched my child's. He was given a DEA test to make sure he was really my child. She said, once that occurred, they set me down and they told me all about the benefits that I would get in the United States. She said I was eligible and I had to fill out these forms so that I could get those benefits. She said, so I fill forms out for Medicaid, for SNAP, which is money for food. She said, I was given free travel from the border to Chicago. When I got to Chicago, I couldn't find gainful employment there, so I thought, what the heck? I'll go to Florida. And then I got to fly to Florida. She was giving free housing, all because the United States paid for that. That's right, you, the taxpayers, got to pay for that.
Do y'all realize that this doesn't happen for everybody? We have people on Social Security. We have homeless veterans that don't get this same treatment. This is mind-blowing that this is happening under our administration. They don't acknowledge it. They won't acknowledge it. And yet they want to act like they've done nothing wrong. And like right now, Kamala Harris is losing big time in the swing states because she should be. But I feel like people are just fed up with it. And they're ready to see a new beginning for the United States. Again, whenever you see Make America Great Again, this is where it's coming from. Because we've gone down a road because of certain politicians and we need a course change. Check this out.
Doug Schoen, Democratic pollster and strategist. Doug, My feeling on this is when people start finger pointing inside the party at, when you're 20 days out, that's never a good sign.
It's, in fact, Laura, you're absolutely right, a very bad sign. I'm picking up from my Democratic friends and sources precisely what you're reporting. The so-called blue wall of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania is eroding for the Democrats. There is a level of...
Guys, this is a Democratic pollster and strategist that is saying this.
Disorganization on the ground and incoherence vis-a-vis the messaging that is clear. And what I'm picking up is that the Harris campaign really doesn't have a closing message or strategy, as we, I think, saw in Bret Baier's interview with Kamala Harris today.
Yeah, her points on the economy didn't really hit home. And the number one issue, she still doesn't really have an answer, except saying, look at my plan on my website.
Yeah, and there is not a clear sense as to what she's going to do different than Joe Biden, which, as you point out, close to 60% of America has made them feel worse off. She hasn't articulated a coherent plan, and it's frankly perfectly logical that she would say different times, different circumstances, different plan. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what Trump's doing. Vote for me. She hasn't done it, and I don't have a sense, Laura, she's going to do it.
Well, she only has 20 days left. I mean, people are voting in so many states across the country. Do you think this interview helped her at all, marginally, or not at all?
I don't think it helped at all. I think she felt she'd reach some swing voters. But to me, the absence of clear answers, the real sense of, confusion to perfectly logical questions that Brett asked, to me, suggests that it underscored all the issues and concerns the few undecided swing voters have. Don't think it helped a bit, and it may well hurt her.
Yeah, they did mean tweets 3.0. Trump's mean, vote for me. That's basically her closing argument.
And seriously, there's nothing, no basis. And again, too, I always give credit where credit is due. And I always try to make sure that if somebody has a good point, they get acknowledged. I give credit. I don't care if they're a Democrat, independent. It doesn't matter to me. What matters should be that, guess what? We want to put America first. But when you get a politician who literally in an entire interview could not say one accomplishment, one policy to say that she should be president, instead of saying, you know what, this has changed, but guess what? This is my plan moving forward. Yes, this happened under Joe, but guess what? We have realized this is the best way forward, and we have to take care of Americans. That's what's bothering me, that we don't see enough from her. And again, they're calling her Joe 2.0. I mean, tell me what you think. Check this out.
Kamala spent the last couple weeks pandering to black voters, and just like Hillary, it's not working.
You may not know.
Black Americans don't care if you've got habaneros in your greenhouse. They want results like the rest of us. What's Kamala delivered for blacks besides migrants and inflation? Again, what's she delivered for any of us? The community's breaking for Trump in historic fashion, and Obama scolding the brothers, not helping.
What you said is unacceptable. You see, what you're missing is that you're basically accusing black men who come up with a reason to not support Kamala Harris as engaging in misogyny. Whatever happened to disagreeing without being disagreeable, President Obama? What happened to that? A black man asking, what about us, is not a crime. It's not misogyny.
No.
It's us exercising our rights as American citizens to question why you should have our support.
If Obama's stick doesn't drive souls to the polls, Kamala tried to offer a carrot in the form of a little bribery. Legalized weed and checks for 20 grand. But then 24 hours later, she flip-flopped. Turns out blacks' only welfare checks are illegal. So now it's cash and cannabis for everyone.
Holy crap, guys. I hadn't seen this yet. Can you believe this? The campaign comes out to pander to black men, says we're going to give black men forgivable $20,000 loans, and we're going to make it so that marijuana stuff is legal, whatnot, federally. And then they have to come back and redact it and say it's for everybody because it's actually illegal to systemically give certain amount of money to just one party or one demographic. This is amazing.
Once again, more empty promises from a desperate Democrat. Kamala isn't a new way forward. She's Joe in a wig.
I feel like if the Democratic Party don't uphold to the promises that they make to their voters, I really believe that they're going to lose the black vote, well, a good majority of the black vote moving forward after this election. A lot of what Kamala Harris was saying, it sounded good, but I think she's a little bit tone deaf to everyday American citizens. As far as like young black Americans, the Gen Zs and the millennials, a lot of us, if we ain't left our mama house, we don't move back in with mama.
Most Americans don't believe they'll be able to survive another 4 years under Kamala. The new way forward is with Trump.
At the end of the day, I'm Trump because my eyes open. I can see that he was doing a lot better than what we're going through right now. You can't even go to the grocery stores right now without making a life decision on what you want to get.
Trump doesn't just have better policies, he has a better touch. During the candidates' Univision town halls, both were asked to list 3 things that they admire about their opponent. Kamala could only think of one.
I think I think Donald Trump loves his family, and I think that's very important. I think family is one of the most important things that we can prioritize. But I don't really know him, to be honest with you. I only met him one time on the debate stage. I'd never met him before. So I don't really have much more to offer you.
She seems to have an ability to survive. She seemed, because, she was out of the race and all of a sudden she's running for president. That's a great ability that some people have and some people don't have.
Wow.
She seems to have some pretty long time friendships. And that's, also, I don't call that an ability. I call that a good thing. And she seems to have a nice way about her. I mean, I like the way, some of her statements, some of her, the way she behaves in a certain way.
Trump compliments Kamala. You won't see that anywhere here, besides here. The media will never show you that side of Trump, but the people see it. He was in a barbershop in the Bronx today, and the whole borough showed up. Watch this.
We want Trump! We want Trump! We want Trump!
Let's go!
Up in the city, one of the truest and the realest president that we ever had and we will have again. He's the one maker changer. He's the money maker. He's gonna change the economy for the better. He's here for the people.
Let's go, guys. I love this. When I see people saying my eyes have been opened, I love that because, again, too, it's hard. There's so much information that's thrown at you every single day. We try to make sure that you see the truth, what's going on across some of these states, the swing states, whether it comes from CNN or whether it comes from MSNBC. We just try to show you the truth because, to me, there's too much division. And regardless of where the truth comes from, that's where we got to get it. And that, to me, is what that represents. Our founding fathers didn't look and say, we're going to pick and choose. They said, no, this is what we have to stand for. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to bear arms. And a lot of this was based upon what they came from. And when I see the America First agenda coming from Trump, I see that. I see what that represents. Let me know your thoughts. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. Appreciate y'all so much. Love you all. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. Thank you to all of our members in the chat. Want to give some quick shout outs. Mr. Tracy J. Norby, Deanna Scott, Judy Lynn. Man, I've seen some crazy stuff. Sandra Mario NZ going on in this chat. Linda at Jump. Guys, y'all make it happen every single day. Y'all are amazing. We got an amazing community. Thank you to everybody that gives a super chat. We're going to do good with this channel. I'm super excited about where this channel is going. And I just get excited to serve you all every single day with the top news. I love you all. Appreciate you all. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.